Hello class. In this video, we are going to discuss the lesson 2 of your courseware using the threat intelligence. We're going to learn what threat intelligence is, how do we conduct it, why it is necessary, how do we understand threats, what are the models or framework to understand uh, attackers or the threat actors. Okay, how do they work? What is the stages? What are the steps that they take to actually conduct to launch an attack? So let us learn today using our flashcards, and I will explain each of those terms to you, and we're going to learn the chapter that way. Let's look at the cards. Um, Start the flashcard. Okay, start. Okay, now let's look at our card number one. It says threat intelligence. What is it? Okay. Threat intelligence, just think of this in real life. What is it? What is intelligence? We know that the detectives, the intelligence agencies, they use intelligence to learn about what is happening, what is coming, what threats are out there. For example, the United States has this CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. Its job is to learn about other countries, governments, their schemes, their plans, their plots, or anything that violates national security of the United States. They find out secretly by spying on other countries and other actors. That is called intelligence gathering. Okay, so the same way in cybersecurity, we gather intelligence. We want to know, as defenders in a company, we want to know what are the threats out there. Okay, and there are many ways to gather that information. There are open source, there are closed source, and we're going to learn about them. There are sources available in the internet that will tell us what are the threats that are imminent, what are the threats that are upcoming, possibly some other ones that are suspicious, possibly they are threats. These kind of information are available. We can obtain from both open source and closed source sources that we will discuss pretty soon in the next steps. Okay, next, next, talk about open source intelligence. Okay, open source intelligence. So let's see. Look at here, I'm in 2.1. Okay, how do we find that intelligence? Open source meaning there are on the internet, there are websites that shows, that tells us, lists all the threats that are out there. It's very useful. Without this knowledge, as analysts or cybersecurity professionals, we could not have enough knowledge to be prepared to defend ourselves against cyber threats. So these sources are very important. For example, the Senki.org that has a list of open source threat intelligence feeds. The feeds means many different companies, many different subscribers. As they find some new threat, they are going to report that into the Senki's website. Let me take a look at it right here. Here is the Senki's website, open source threat intelligence feeds. Okay, operator security toolkit, security feeds and services. Here is APT, advanced persistent threat groups and operations. This is the most, uh, damaging, the most powerful of all threat actors. They are called advanced persistent threat. They are mostly state actors who have a lot of money backed by the government to hack other governments. So they are called advanced persistent threat. Threat about them, information about them are listed. Alien Vault, there's another company, very well known. They also have the Open Threat Exchange, another website. For example, right here, this is the Alien Vaults. Uh, that is the this OTX, okay, Open Threat Exchange. This is a community where so many companies, they're going to report new threats or newly detected threats, threats that are uh, persistent at this time, threats that are dangerous, that could be affecting us. We need to be aware of. Okay, so there are open sources to learn about threats. So let's go back to our cards. Okay, now that's open source. Let's talk about closed source intelligence. What is closed source? Okay, the open source is open to all people, open to everyone. You can be a subscriber, you can just go and read the list of the threads that are newly reported. Closed source, on the other hand, are not publicly available. They are not free most of the time. So there are some companies who offer a service that, hey, we are going to provide you a threat intelligence. So you can subscribe to us and pay us money. We're going to specially prepare a report. We're going to report to you. We're going to be keeping you up to date. Okay. So that is offered as a service. That those companies offer closed source. And if we go down on this page, here is proprietary and closed source intelligence. They are offered as a commercial services, and typically they cost you money. Okay. Now, next. Okay. Threat actor. Now, a threat, an example would be again like a virus, a worm, okay, a hurricane, a flooding, fire, anything that could damage your computer, network, systems, your IT resources, those are threats. Threat actors, on the other hand, we typically mean a group, an individual, an organization that is a threat to you, that will be that could hack, that could damage your network. That's called threat actors. Let's understand them a little bit more. What are the threat actors? Here are the threat actors. There are four types of threat actors that we need to be very much aware of for the purpose of this CISA plus exam. The four types are: number one, nation state. A nation state, yes, all the governments, countries, they have plenty of money and they employ people who are hackers, who are very well savvy in the cybersecurity and cyber attack. Government pays them to develop the cyber threats, malware, the mechanism to hack into the adversaries' websites. And so what they do, they work for the government and they hack into other governments or whatever the other entity that government wants to be hacked, they hack into them, the enemy websites or enemy uh, infrastructure. So these are called nation state actors. Okay. Now, second one is organized crime. Organized crime, they are mostly motivated by money. They want money, such as the people who develop ransomware, and you get a virus in your machine and it says that you pay us this amount of money or your all data is gone, you cannot access your data. You turn on the machine, your computer, and you don't see your desktop anymore, you don't see the data anymore. You see a screen that says that you have to pay us money. That's ransomware. These are typically done by organized criminals. They are an organization, they are a team, and they could be operating under the table, under the surface, but they are organized. Hacktivist, that's the third category. Hacktivist, hacktivists are activists basically, people who are activists for political, for social, for any cause. Okay, for example, environmental activists. What they do in this case, instead of demonstrating on the street, they hack into government websites or whoever they target to make a statement for their cause. They are those kind of activists who hack into websites are called hacktivists. Okay, who use the cyber landscape to make their statement. Now, insider threats, that's very important also, is a very significant one. Every company has employees, insider people who have access to, legitimately, who have the real access to the digital assets, the computers, the network, all the data, sensitive data. So they have access to it. Now, if one of those employees betray the company, they become disgruntled, they have other motivation, they are compromised for whatever reason, they could cause very significant damage. They are called insider threats. Okay, so now we have learned four types of actors, threat actors. Okay, now let's go to the next card. Okay, hacktivists, we already talked about that. Those are activists who use the cyber world to make their statement. Got that. Next, would be stride. Okay, what are we talking about? What is stride? Let's see what we are talking about. The stride, it's a threat model. Okay, here is your stride. Okay, you want to understand the threat. What are the different types of threat? What those threats really do? Microsoft makes a model to classify those threats, to understand the threats better. So you can classify them, you can understand each one of them, and you can prepare your defenses against them. Okay, let's look at what they mean. Okay, now STRIDE, stride. They actually talk about 6 different types of threats. Spoofing. Spoofing means pretending to be something or someone other than yourself. Okay, that happens a lot. Somebody pretending to be someone else. Your identity is taken by someone else. Okay, and that is what is violated here is authentication. That you are not that person is not you, but that person is acting like you, and that person is authenticated as you. So that's spoofing. Okay. Number two, T stands for tampering. Tampering means corrupting the data, modifying the data. Okay. Or in other words, compromising the integrity of the data. Okay. Modifying something on disk, network, memory, or elsewhere. That is T. R is repudiation. Repudiation means an actor has done something and then he left no traces and he denies of his doing, and you don't have any way to prove that he actually did it. So hackers have done something, but you can't get to the hacker. You cannot catch him. He already erased all the tracks. Okay, that's repudiation. That an actor was able to get away, and you can't track back to him. So what is compromised in here is non-repudiation policy, principle, or goal of cybersecurity. Non-repudiation means a computer system has to be in a way where somebody makes a change, somebody does something, somebody logs in, somebody does any kind of action, that person can be traced or tracked. That's called non-repudiation. So that person cannot deny. So this non-repudiation principle is violated when repudiation happens. And that's a type of threat. Another type of threat is information disclosure. Okay, it is what is compromised here is confidentiality. Okay, so somebody who does not have authorization to see the data, to see the information, that person has access to the information, that will be the confidentiality is now compromised. That is information disclosure. It has been disclosed to the wrong recipient, the wrong person. Next is D, denial of service. Denial of service is when your network is down, your computer is down. The legitimate users who are supposed to be accessing the information, now they are prevented from accessing because they can't find the information. The computer system is down, database is down, the network is down, whatever the situation is, that's called denial of service. A whole lot of attackers, they attack to this kind of attack, denial of service attack, and companies are often victims of denial of service. That's why you see they are down. Last one, E, elevation of privilege. When a hacker or a mal actor gets into your system, logs into the system, gets an access, next what he or she would do is to elevate the privilege. He was able to get in, however, he didn't have administrative privilege. Now he knows a technique in some way that he can upgrade his access level to administrative or authoritative level, higher level, like a root level in Unix, for example. So these are the called this type of attack will be elevation of privilege. Okay, so that is authorization problem. Authorization mechanism, authorization controls have been compromised. Okay, so this is your stride model: spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, and elevation of privilege. These are different types of threats, different types of attacks. Okay, stride. Go next. Okay. Uh, Next would be organized crime. We already talked about that. Again, Repeating, this is a type of threat actor who are typically generally organized to make money. They are motivated by money, and they are a group of hackers, an organized a group of cyber criminals, and they create malwares. They hack into individuals or company systems. Organized crime. They're like an enterprise. Okay. Next, cyber kill chain. So let's take a look at it. What that is. Here is our cyber kill chain. Okay. What we're trying to learn here is it's a model of how cyber criminals act, how cyber criminals they launch an attack. What are the steps they typically follow? Or when you are hacked, a company is hacked, company system is hacked, what are the steps typically the attackers had to take to reach to that level, reach to launch a successful attack? Okay, there are steps and seven stages described in this model. Okay, this model is called cyber kill chain, developed by Lockheed Martin. First would be reconnaissance. Let's understand this model. Reconnaissance means gathering information about your company, about your computer system before launching an attack. There are publicly available information in the internet about any company, so that those information can be gathered using the internet. There are other techniques where directly the hackers they would be scanning your network from outside using many different tools, and they will be able to find out exactly how your network is laid out, what kind of topology you have, what kind of operating system you are using, how your network is really mapped, what is your firewall, what ports are open, what ports are closed. They can find out all this information before launching the attack. This is very important. This is an essential step for them. That is called reconnaissance. Okay. And then second step will be weaponization. That they have done reconnaissance. Now they want to create the virus. They want to create those codes that they are going to, which they are going to execute to hack into your machine. They are going to, so that creation of that software code, that virus or malware, that is the weaponization. That's number two. Number three, now that they have created the virus, they want to send that virus to your machine. That is the delivery. Would they deliver? Through a flash drive, thumb drive, physically plugging into your machine, or sending an email to one of your employees, and that email has an attachment, or in any way. There are so many ways. From a website that you visited, they lured you to an website. That website, as soon as you visited the website, it injected some malware into your browser, that kind of thing. So there's many ways to deliver the virus to your machine. That's number three, step number three. Number four, exploitation. Now that the virus has been delivered, it has not been executed yet. In number four, step number four, they are going to actually trigger that virus. The virus will execute itself. The malware, not necessarily virus, could be a worm, virus, spyware, any kind of malware. Whatever that malware is, that is now executed. So it actually worked. Okay. Number five, installation. So once the malware has been executed, now that malware gives a chance to the hackers to create an account. And from that point on, they will be able to log into your machine. That is the installation. Installation of remote access tools or backdoors. So they, without authentication via your real authentication server, through a backdoor, meaning without authentication, they have created a sneaky account through which they will be able to log into your machine. That is what they install. Number six, command and control, or C2. The intruder now has persistent access. Okay, so it says precedent, but that's not right. Persistent access. So what it should be meaning that they have escalated that access to administrative access, and they now are able to control your machine. Okay, they have that regular access, long-term access, a privileged access to your machine. And number seven, once they have that, then the last step, number seven, now they are going to do what they really wanted to do. like steal your data. Okay, as an example, damage your system, change your configuration. Now that they have persistent access, now they have administrative access privilege, now they will do what they want to do to really damage your system. So this is your 7 steps. Okay, reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and action on objective. This is the stride model. Okay, to understand the 7-step process of an attack. Okay, now next. Okay, we discussed that. Next will be threat hunting. Okay, yes, we do threat hunting. Hunting for threats, yes, proactively. Before the threat comes and attacks us, companies are always willing to, very much eager to learn about the threat before they fall victim by that threat. That's why threat hunting is very, very important. And there are so many websites, so many services for that. Okay, even some companies have bounty hunters. They offer a prize, a money, that if they can bring a flaw or a threat or vulnerability, for example, into their system or their software, then they're going to pay money to people that, hey, you have showed us what kind of flaw we have in our software, so we're going to pay you money. Okay, so many of the bounty hunters, they find out flaws and report to those companies. Same way, the threat hunting, they look for threats. Okay, that they are going to, they once they see something suspicious, they make a hypothesis that, hey, this could be a new threat that we do not know about. So let's analyze it, let's study it, and find out whether it's really a threat. And if it's really a threat, then they will be feeding. They're going to send the feed to those that threat hunting websites that, hey, we found a new threat. Okay, so that's very, very useful in preparation of cybersecurity. Lastly, diamond model of intrusion analysis. So let's learn that. Intrusion analysis. So you are analyzing an intrusion. So in this case, an intrusion already happened. Somebody in your company, some machine, some network, some computer already fell victim to an attack. And you are going to analyze it by using this model. Okay. The core features are here: an adversary, capabilities, infrastructure, and victim. Okay, so there is an adversary, there's a victim, there's what kind of capabilities they had, and what kind of infrastructure was targeted. Okay, and of course you're going to have many of the meta features like timestamps, when that happened, which phases that took place, what result was there, as what resulted from the attack, and this confidence value is which is defined by the model. Let's look at exactly, actually understand more right here. We have this four. Here is capability, infrastructure, adversary, and right here is the victim. Okay. Now let's look at number one. A victim discovers compromised system. First, the victim who fell victim, he will see that, okay, my data has been stolen. My the computer is rebooting. The computer has gotten a ransomware attack. I can't see my data anymore. Whatever he's going to report, okay, he discovers that. Number two, right here, the logs show source IP of attacker. Now, where the attackers came from, there would be their IP address can be traced. And once you know the IP address, then you know that, okay, so this is the source of this attack. From that machine, from that IP address, I got this particular email or whatever I have gotten, or this virus, whatever data that I was sent to from this IP address. Okay. Number three, the same logs show other activity by the same net block. Let me explain to you what is a SIEM, what is a net block. A SIEM is security incident and event management. A SIEM is a system, a software that logs all the events that takes place. Any kind of intrusion, any kind of computer going down, any kind of reboot, any kind of malfunction, the same system will log them, record them, exactly what time, what happened. Okay, that's called a SIM system, and also give you warning, give you alarm. And a net block, what is a net block? A net block meaning a an IP address block, a block of IP address. For example, let me show you what is a net block. A net block, to give you an example, this is an IP range 190.255.0.0. Beginning from there, 190, 255, 255, 255. So here 0.0 to 255.255. So this is the range from, that means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this here to up to 255. This whole block is called a net block. Okay, so you will know that what that net block is. Let me see where. Oh, so here I am. Okay, so net block ownership points to adversary's identity. So now you want to know that particular IP address belongs to which range of IP and who owns that IP range. That's how you're going to find out who are responsible, who are the actors, whose machines, whose computers were used to launch an attack against you. Number five, adversary identity helps security staff determine threat model and like additional capabilities. So once you understand who the adversary was, who the enemy was, at that time you are going to know more about their motivation, their reason, and what they might have done. So this model is basically to understand the attacker and their motivation. Okay, and that is called the diamond model of intrusion analysis. Okay, let's go back to our cards. That was the card number 10. So that ends it. So I hope that this video was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any question. Always email me and connect with me. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.